It's great to have all of you here today. So, we're very honored to have some special guests here today. One of our Collins College Board of Advisors member, Bridget Belinsky. Bridget, stand up, wave your hand. She's the Area Vice President of Marriott International and proud Distinguished Alumna. Most of you know her. Also, please welcome our special guest, Craig Ballard, Director of Real Estate for OTO Development. Also with us is Matt Harrison, Director of Rooms at the Irvine Marriott. Students, this day is for you to engage with one of the most dynamic leaders of the hospitality industry, Chris Harrison. We are so honored to have Mr. Harrison and his family with us here today. A little bit about the Richard Frank Lectureship Series. The Richard N. Frank Distinguished Lectureship Series was established in 1988 to allow students a unique opportunity to hear directly from the industry's leaders as they bring hospitality management to life through their real-world experiences. Emeritus Board of Advisors member and longtime advocate of the Collins College, Richard N. Frank, generously donated a major gift that established this endowment series that bears his name. Mr. Frank was a dedicated philanthropist and one of the nation's most successful entrepreneurs as chairman of Lowry's Restaurants and president and CEO of Lowry's Foods. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Chris Harrison. Stand up. Just say hello. Mr. Harrison is the Vice President of Loyalty Strategy and Innovation for Marriott International. Representing a forward-thinking, next-gen mindset, Chris Harrison brings 13 years of experience with Marriott International. In this position, he oversees the Future Experience Roadmap for 110 million Marriott Reward members and associated business partners around the world. Mr. Harrison came to this role from the recently opened Marriott Irvine Spectrum, where he oversaw all aspects of the dynamic full-service hotel. He has led the innovation team for Marriott's Western region, chaired the Marriott Orange County Business Council, and was awarded the inaugural Hotel Culture Award for championing Marriott's core values across the company. Mr. Harrison earned his MBA from Harvard Business School with an emphasis in innovation and service operations, and he plays a key role in Marriott's Emerging Leaders Program. In addition, he is active in the community as a board member for the Children's Hospital of Orange County. Please welcome Chris Harrison as our 2018 Richard N. Frank Lecturer.
It is an honor to be with you. Let me get that out of the way. Thank you so much for opening the doors to this program. It has been such a pleasure to get to know this university, this specific program on campus, and to get to know each of you. I believe I've hired over a dozen graduates from this program. It's amazing. I've been blown away at the quality that comes out. So you should be very proud to be here and to get the tutelage and instruction that you're receiving. It prepares you as much as any school I've been to for the real world. So let's talk about the real world. Can you guys see that okay? In reality, that's a really beautiful picture. It's the sunrise, and I want to start here because this is my walk every morning in Boston on my way from my apartment to the hotel. My hotel is off in the distance over the shoulder of that horsed gentleman, and that's what I got to see every day when I walked to work. And I would think every morning as a Voyager, what was I going to accomplish today? What was the purpose of today? Now this day is a very special day. The third Monday of April in Boston is a legendary, important day. It is the first unofficial day of spring, and if you've ever been to Boston in the wintertime, you know how critical that is. All the bears come out of hibernation, and they greet the world again for the very first time. And so I'm walking to work this day with a pep in my step. The Red Sox are about to get the first pitch thrown out at 11:05 a.m., the earliest first pitch in baseball. And I go into work that day with the great distinguished honor of a newly graduated Voyager, and now I have a management title, and I get to be the manager on duty for the very first time. And I go to work at that hotel, Boston Copley, 1,100 rooms, and I'm the guy. And so I'm all confident walking to work that day, and I feel like, I got this. Everything's going to be totally under control. And I show up, and the ship is running very smoothly. If you know anything about this day, you know it's a national holiday for Bostonians. It's called Patriots' Day. And nobody goes to work. All the kids are out, and so that's why they left a little young Voyager graduate in charge of this building. We had 2,000 guests in-house that day because it was sold out, and we were off to the races. So outside of my front door, sorry, this is a little bit out of order, but here's my Voyager uniforms. So I was a Starbucks barista, I was in the kitchen cutting avocados. You can't see my face very well, but trust me, I'm happy there with my root beer float. But this was my life, it was fantastic. And so I show up every day ready to go to work and to take on the world and try to find my place in it. This day specifically, I walked into work, and there's my hotel over the policeman's back left shoulder, the Copley Marriott, and I passed all this chaos, and I was ready to go. They were setting up for the marathon. It was wonderful. 11 o'clock comes, first pitch goes off, and the Red Sox game is in full swing, full throat. We're winning the game. My associates in AYS are loving it because they're kind of hearing it on the radio in the background, and moving throughout the day. It's pretty good. We now get to 2 o'clock. We're at hour 4 of the marathon, and this is when most people start to finish the race. And we start to see the finishers coming back in the hotel. I'm greeting them with waters and towels, and they have those really cool space blankets that everybody's being wrapped in. And the day is beautiful. It could not be going any better. And I go back into AYS, which is our operating booth at your service. And I sit down next to a gentleman named Harrison. And we're sitting there, and at 2:49, we have the windows all around us start to rattle. And he looks at me and says, "Do you hear that?" 12 seconds later, we have another boom and a rattle. And he quickly flicks on the radio. He's listening to the game. And there's a bulletin that comes across saying that there were explosions. There were explosions down at the finish line. Now, my hotel is 500 feet from this picture. And so I quickly run outside, and I see a horde of people covered in ash and blood and soot running at the hotel. I'm the manager on duty. And so it's like watching a tsunami of humans coming at you. Coming down this corridor, we're the only exit path right into my lobby. Within 5 minutes, we had thousands and thousands of people in our lobby. The police are there within 5 minutes. We have a guy walk through the front door on a horse, comes in and creates order, asks who's in charge here. I raise my hand. Not knowing what to do. I look at my associates all around me. They don't know what to do. They feel just as panicked as the people who are coming back from the race. And I think to myself, now what? I had no idea what to do. Bomb squad comes in. They start asking me if I can take them around all the suitcases and luggage. My wife is trying to call me off the hook. She's supposed to be at the finish line. She's pregnant, 8 months. And so all of my world is completely disrupted. This is the scene that's happening 500 feet away. And you guys have all seen this. My hotel goes into complete shutdown mode. Guests and non-guests alike. I counted 8,000 people in my hotel. We pushed them on police orders away from, you can't see that picture very well, but this is about 7 o'clock, sun is setting. There are armed guards all in front of our hotel. That's what this photo is of. And there are barricades all in front here. And this was my view for the rest of the night. They locked down our hotel, asked us to put all of those people into the ballrooms and to figure out what to do with them. They asked all of my associates to get off of work and to join the guests in the ballroom. So there were really nobody working, and we were all the same. And we were like that until the very next morning. This is my walk home. So you saw my start. This is now 5 a.m. the next morning when they open up the doors to our hotel and let us walk home. Boston is usually a vibrant, energetic town. You can see there's nobody on the streets. And I got home and I talked to my wife, and we had to have the hard conversation. What did we sign up for? And so today I want to talk to you a little bit about what you all signed up for. So the title of my presentation is Welcome to the Hospitality Industry. Now what? Each of you in this room chose and self-selected to be here, to do something specifically with serving people, with taking care of others. And in that moment where you and your associates are just as afraid as everybody else, does that mean something different for you? How do you keep your cool and keep your mind and keep your service nature when all chaos is ringing around you? And that next day and next weeks and months, I had to reflect and understand really what it means to be somebody in the hospitality business. And so today I want to share that with you. My reflections and what I've come up with. Sound good? So to get there, you have to know who I am. Oh, hold on. To get there, I want to get some energy back in the room first. And you have to know the company I represent, who we represent, who I work for, and then you can learn who I am. So here's who we represent. Yeah. You're going to get some commercials weaved in and out of this thing. That's what Marriott's been up to over the last couple of years. Those numbers are out of date. We got really big. And it's important as you look at the company that you're moving into to understand what they stand for, so you can understand as a service person what you stand for inside of that fabric. So me, this is kind of where I begin. Right? This is my family. That's who is at the finish line, and the little guy on the left was who was in the stomach of my wife. They mean everything to me, and they teach me lessons all the time. And I'm going to share a lesson that my family and kids have taught me. And so now you've seen really big for me. I work for that company that got really big, that's a global mom and pop shop that is full of life and energy and vibrancy, and there's 750,000 employees every day who wake up and put a Marriott name badge on. That's amazing. And then I've shown you really micro. This is who I am. This is who inspires me every day. This is my legacy. My grandfather is Bill Marriott. My great-grandfather is Bill Marriott Sr. Started a restaurant company, became a restaurant magnate. Eventually, they said, hey, it would be a pretty good business to put a restaurant in a hotel, or to put people sleeping on top of the restaurant, right? Just make that happen. So they created hotels in 1957, and then we got really big. And so they taught me every step of the way, and everybody inside of our company, this phrase. And we made it really longer, a lot longer, and I shortened it for this. Can you all read that? First, take care of each other. This is the basis for who we are. And as I reflect on who I am after that Boston Marathon experience, I come back to this again and again and again. The phrase is, we believe in taking care of our associates. The associates will take care of the customer, and the customer will come back again and again. But it starts there. We take care of each other. And so as you think about who you are and what you signed up for, what you self-selected into, start there. Take care of people. If you can convince yourself that that is something that's a core value of yours, you're in the right place. If it takes more than convincing, maybe think about something else. Because this is who we are. Let's see. Yeah, we got another video, another commercial.
We have.
All right. So the engine for all of that shiny stuff, the soul, is this idea, this core value of taking care of people. You can have all of this packaging and it gets shiny and bright and beautiful, but the thing, the essence, is that we first took care of each other like we're family. You saw the word family show up in there. This is our best marketing stuff, and yet we're still talking about each other's family. So I've been on this journey of connecting Marriott employees back to this legacy for the past 11 years and trying to get them to feel the way that I do now about being a service person, somebody who genuinely cares for other people. And so the work that I get to do now on a large scale, this global 110 million person scale, is all about making each one of those customers feel like they're an individual in that grand scheme of things. The only way I know how to do that is by connecting with them one-on-one and taking care of them and serving their needs. So here is the work that I've been working on lately. So that's our loyalty program. The thing that stitches everything that we do together is that program. It connects all the brands, it connects all the people, it connects the associates, it connects everything. The core to that is service and caring for one another. Now let me give you a high-level metaphor about how you can know whether you're somebody who fits into that package. Let me introduce you back to my children. This is Christmas morning. On the top is my daughter Hadley. In the middle is Will. He was the one in the belly. On the bottom is Peter, who just crashed on his scooter and has a nice raspberry on his forehead. They are all animals in my circus. And they teach me something every day, like I told you. Last Christmas, I learned a very valuable lesson from them. I learned that there's two types of people in this world. And in my family, those two types exist. On the one hand, you've got people who love to give gifts at Christmas. My daughter, Hadley, is giving a massage and head scratch to my son. On Christmas, that's her gift to him. On the right is my smallest son, Peter, who is just ferociously tearing presents apart. Doesn't care what's in it, but just wants to get the gift. Those two different people doesn't make either one better than the other one, but they exist in this world. And so sometimes you have to stop and ask yourself, are you a gift giver or a gift receiver? Doesn't make you bad or good in life, just makes you one of those two people. I hope that every person in this room is a gift giver. What we do and what we've done for thousands of years is give people moments and comfort and service that allows them to be their best selves. We give gifts every day in this business. So think about that. Where do you fall? What category do you find yourself in? And when you have kids, think about where they fall, because it's a fun little game to play. This is who you sign up to be. A chef at a table, giving your best fruits to the people at that table, explaining where all the dishes came from, why you're passionate about it, and then giving it as a present to other people to internalize. Sometimes they're going to reject it. But that's okay, because you're giving your best self to them. Are you this guy who takes the family up to their room on their one-time resort vacation, once in a lifetime, they spend all their excess money on it, and this is the hello that you get? And can you make each kid feel very special and named, and can you make sure that their vacation is going to be off to a bang? Those are the types of people that are going to come out of this room and who have come out of this room. They are magicians. They are magicians at showing people what is possible in the memory creation space. At the end of the day, Marriott is about creating memories. That's what we do. We facilitate and engineer great memories. We do it through experiences and great hotels and great food. But I want to be in your Instagram because I created a memory for you. Okay? Hospitality has existed for thousands and thousands of years. It is the innkeeper story that you hear. It is the Bedouin tents with the camels back in the day in the deserts. It is the fine restaurants. It is the gastronomies during the Renaissance. It is these taverns and inns. This has been the source of gathering and meeting places for thousands of years. You are entering a grand tradition of service. Can you live up to that? Of this gathering place where, and I know there's some revelry and drunkenness happening in this painting, but this is an old Renaissance photo to show you the importance of what you are entering into. Be it restaurants or hotels, this is what it is all about. Giving people a safe haven to be able to be comfortable. I learned at the Boston Marathon that the three most important places in every single city start with a hospital, and then it's churches, and then it's hotels. If you were to interview people after 9/11, or talk to people after the chaos of the terrorist attack in Paris, or talk to people after the Boston Marathon bombing, the reason why I had 7,000 people enter my front door is simply because hotels represent safe havens. People in that hotel will help you. And they will help you to survive, or help you to be comfortable, help you to feel safe. It's been this way for thousands and thousands of years. When you are an innkeeper in a city, you are a master planner of the Chamber of Commerce. You have such an impact in that city as to what will be coming through that city and how they're going to be taken care of, how you represent those people. And so when you think about the construct of a city, and you see, okay, we've got a great hospital, we've got some great churches, you've got great hotels, you can now withstand chaos. Because you have these safe harbors, these lighthouses in the city to protect people. And you've signed up to work in one of them. And you may not think of yourself as a doctor or nurse or a pastor or somebody who's religious, but you have signed up to be somebody who's on that level, who's caring for people in that same way, just in a different vein. Are you ready for that? When I graduated, I didn't think like this. So, this brings me to our next story. Here is an example of a gift giver. In 2010, there was a great big earthquake in Haiti. Anybody remember that, or were you too young for this one? 2010, big earthquake in Haiti. 200,000 people are killed. My grandfather, who goes to Fort Lauderdale every winter for 6 weeks to our hotel there, was in this hotel when the earthquake happens. Housekeepers in Fort Lauderdale are almost all Haitian by nationality. And so he's gotten to know them over the years. And they came in devastated about this earthquake and asked them if there was something that they could do through Marriott to give back. And he was thinking and pondering, how can I help? How can I give back? And so with the help of foundations and others, the Clinton Foundation included, he said, I'm going to build a hotel in Haiti. We didn't have a hotel in Haiti. There's very few hotels in Haiti because it is an economically very poor country that doesn't do a lot of tourism. It doesn't have a lot of economy and trade. And so he said, I'm going to put a hotel there. It may not ever make me money, but it's the right thing to do. Because these housekeepers need a place to go home, so when they help, they can have a safe place. And so they announced that they were going to build this hotel in Haiti. So in Port-au-Prince, they built this hotel. It's a beautiful, spectacular building. Anybody ever been to Haiti? It is the nicest building in Port-au-Prince. And it employs 250 people, and it is this safe haven, this harbor there. This guy is named Peter Antonov, and he is the general manager of this hotel. And Peter is a gift giver. Peter rose to the heights of our industry in France. He became the GM at the Paris Champs-Élysées Marriott, which was our crown jewel hotel. When you walk down the Champs-Élysées next to the Arc de Triomphe, our hotel shares the address with the Count of Monte Cristo's address from the old famous book. It is a special, special place. We call it a jewel in the box. It is an amazing hotel. And he rose to prominence in that hotel. And he says, I hear that you're doing this thing in Haiti. My apartment that stares at the Eiffel Tower, I'm giving it up. I'm going to Haiti. Choose me. Let me be the general manager of this place. An impoverished country. It's full of crime. And he signs up. So he goes, and he doesn't know how to hire people in this place. He doesn't know how to get vendors, doesn't know how to make food here, doesn't know how to do anything that a normal hotel person would know how to do. And so he says, I'm just going to go meet people in the community, find the happiest people that I can in a place that's full of sadness, and hire those people. And so he'd go to these places, he'd go to these orphanages, and he'd go to community shelters, to people who had nothing, and he'd interview them, and if they were happy and they were desiring a job and desiring work, he would offer them jobs. And so he built this team, this vibrant, beautiful team of people out of these places, the hopeless, where people didn't have opportunity to progress their lives. They were outcasts and misfits, and he hired them. My parents, who were back here in the beginning, like I said, intensely personal stories, they're right there. They show up at this hotel, and they're taken to the room by the bellman. His name's Lucardo. Do you see this guy in the middle right here? His name's Lucardo. They get to the room, and they go to offer him a tip, and they realize that Lucardo's missing an arm. And they ask Lucardo to tell him about his story. And so he says, at 6 years old, I was in an accident, and I lost my arm. And my parents could not take care of me, and I had there was no future for me to be able to add value back to my family if I didn't have two arms. I couldn't work and give them back value. So they gave me up to the orphanage to take care of me. So from 6 years old, he'd been living in an orphanage. And he's now early 20s. Nobody would take a shot on him for a job. He'd never had a wardrobe of clothes, didn't have great opportunities to eat, was malnourished. And he was the first person that Peter hired into this hotel. And he brought along many of his friends who are in this line, and they represent one of the happiest workforces in our entire company. They have sourced food from their friends in the community, so they all buy their chicken and their eggs locally. They do their laundry locally. And this hotel of 250 employees supports thousands and thousands of workers in that city. So you have this multiplier effect of people who decided to give a gift. Starting with a thought from a housekeeper, can you put a hotel in Haiti? To a CEO saying, I don't care if I make money. To the foundations that pour the money into this place to make it a reality. To a general manager who says, I'm giving up the life of luxury in Paris to go to an outpost in the middle of the Caribbean. To Lucardo, who's giving everything he has to this job. And now this hotel gives these folks 2 hot meals a day. They press their clothes, give them uniforms. They teach them about self-care and grooming and financial policies and practices. And you have this miracle that pops up. So now instead of having this jewel in the box in the Champs-Élysées, you've got this jewel in the Caribbean. And it is the best place you can be in Haiti. So that's what you signed up for. That's the legacy. So when you think about your future and what you want to give back, because somebody will call upon you one day to give back. Whether it's your boss, it's your family, it's a customer who's in front of you, they'll ask you for help. And are you poised and ready with all of that training and all of that friendliness and kindness that you've been given to give back? In a world that is full of really just chaos, hospitality folks stand as a light of people who still care intensely about humans at a basic level. So welcome to the tribe. All right? I want to share with you a story of somebody who touched me. And I think this is next, so I hope I'm not pre-introducing something. That's the Haiti principle, right? The idea that you multiply your gifts times 10, times 20, times 100. This is somebody who I wanted to introduce you to.
I was born in Washington, D.C., Southeast. I am a Washingtonian. Yes, I am. I work here at the Gaylord Engineer Department. I started out in public space and housekeeping. One of the managers came to me, asked me, was I interested in coming into the engineer department? All because of public space and the work I put in. I said, yes, I'm ready to go. I wear my uniform real proud. I wear my uniform more than I wear my clothes. Making the guests happy. That is my job. Then secondly is my co-stars. Making sure that they're okay. I was homeless from the age of 26 to the age of 44. I slept on steam crates. I slept in 3rd Street Tunnel. I woke up one morning missing family members, missing my son. I was just tired. I was just tired. And I knew right then and there I wanted to do something with my life. I knew I didn't want to use no more drugs. I knew I didn't want to drink no more. I've been clean for 9 years. I go out now, I speak to homeless people, let them know that there is hope. I love working for Marriott. It helped me tremendously. It put me in a position to get to become a first-time home buyer. My son is proud of me because he never thought that his father would be the way he is today. So I'm rolling now.
All right. These stories abound inside of our industry. So I leave you again with this. First, take care of each other. I learned a long time ago that leadership, in order to convince people and influence them to follow you, you must win their minds and their hearts. In our business, you have to win their hearts. It is an emotional business. I intently and purposefully built an emotional presentation for you. One that was very personal for me. Stories that I got to personally experience. I introduced you to my family because it's emotional. And I needed you to feel what you are about to enter into. And I need you to make others feel good when you're in that business. Both your associates, the people who will work for you, because there are great leaders in this room, the people who will follow you, the people who you're taking care of at restaurants and airlines and hotels. This has to be a mission statement of yours if you want to have success in this industry. So I put myself back in your shoes when I was 22 years old, ready to go take on the world and lead a company in hospitality. And I thought to myself, what would I want to hear? And yes, you have ambitions, and yes, you want to be smarter than everybody in the room, but I wish somebody would have told me to start and to lead with my heart. If you could do that, sky's the limit. So thank you. Thank you for the time, for the opportunity to be with you, and for sharing a little bit of my soul with you today. We have a Q&A session, but it has been such an honor. So thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right, how much time do we have for Q&A?
Oh, we have about 10 minutes.
Perfect.
So, hello. Anybody have a question? Don't be shy.
I was just at a presentation that said, don't ask them, does anybody have a question? Because that's what I used to do all the time. Said, do you have any questions for me? Or what questions do you have for me? Because it causes you to actually get there.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Harrison?
Yeah, so what questions do you have?
Thank you.
Awesome. Matthew.
So what's the most challenging lesson your family has taught you? I mean, they've taught you all these amazing lessons. What would you say is most challenging that's helped you with so much in this industry?
Oh, here's a great lesson for our industry. This is a blue-collar industry. You work really hard. This is not, our business is not rocket science. But what it is work. I mean, it's like you show up every day and you put in the work. And there is great reward for that. There are lots of businesses out there where you can make much more money than being in hospitality. My friends who are bankers or consultants, they make more money than I ever did and ever will. But every night I get to put my head down on that pillow, I get to say, man, I worked hard today, and I was the best part of people's day. And that makes up the gap. Every single day, that makes up the gap. So yeah, hard work is the hardest lesson they ever taught me. What else do you have? Yes, in the back. Right here. Yes, back here.
All right.
Anything is on the table. You can ask me anything.
How hard is it to balance family and a really full-time job? Because I know they're both really full-time jobs. So how hard is that to balance?
It's a great question. And it's one that I thought about and continue to think about often. And I've come to the conclusion, a lot of people talk about work-life balance, right? I learned that for me, it's not about work-life balance as much as being able to design a life that's impactful for me, that gives me value in both spaces. I've had work weeks where I've worked for 30 hours and I spend the rest of the week at home, and I realize that I'm not feeling fulfilled. And then I've had weird work weeks where I'm 100 hours at work and I'm home for, let's say, the other portion, and I feel really valued at home and I'm balanced. The reason is because I'm able to, when I'm actively engaged in the hobbies of myself and my family at home, even for a moment, if I can make sure I'm running every day or that I get time to put my kids to bed every night, that's where I get balance. So it's not as much about 40 hours here, 40 hours there. It's about being able to engage in the things that are important to me. So designing my life is important. I've found that for me, this is my obsession and passion. And so I'm always on at work. Whether I'm at the hotel or not, I'm thinking about the hotel. I'm looking at Disneyland at line theory and at the way that people are cleaning things. Or I'm at a restaurant and seeing and taking pictures of great dishes that I love and adore. And I'm sending those back to my team. And so yeah, I'm at work with my family, but yet I'm engaged at work still, right? And when I'm at work, I'm finding ways to still help my wife and kids. I'm making a phone call on their behalf, or I'm writing a letter to a teacher, or I'm doing something that allows me to still have 2 feet in both places. It's not perfect, but it's the best way that I've been able to find balance. So I'm always plugged in both places. Does that help? Let's come up here. Yes?
In your opinion, you've been all over the world, I'm sure, with the Marriott International. What is something that the American hospitality does very different that the others can learn from? And what is it that the other type of hospitality, whether it's Asian or European, that we can learn from?
Yeah. I'm glad you added that second portion in, because I'm more inspired by international service than I am American service. American service tends to be much more utilitarian. Let's get it done. We are great executors, we're efficient, we're process-oriented. International tends to be more enveloping of that personal touch. I get service internationally from somebody who is all in with me, who says, I want to know that person and I want that person to know me. I went on my honeymoon to Thailand. They call that country the land of 1,000 smiles. Everybody is hospitality oriented. It doesn't matter if you're at the market or in the hotel. And they just have this way of making you feel so welcome and so comfortable. And I wish our American hospitality would get beyond the process sometimes and throw themselves back in. That's why I built this presentation around the emotional side. We lose that sometimes. And so I would try to blend those two things. But it's a great question. Thank you. All right, lots of hands back here. Let's go in the back. Black jacket, leather jacket.
Thank you. First off, thank you for sharing. So my question for you, going with the whole sharing, just being open-hearted, being, well, transparent, did that naturally come to you at a young age, or how have you not quite, well, it's more like perfecting it, but did it come naturally to you?
I'd say naturally I'm a transparent person, but it was hard for me to be myself at work because I would take these assessments and I would not get graded the same way that my peers were that I'd admire and say that, gee, they've got talents that I really don't have or that I need to work on. And so I try to bury some of those more emotional things and highlight the more intellectual things. And I realized that leadership at its core is about being the authentic you. And so I had to uncover that. Bridget Belinsky, who's up here, taught me about this. I had to be me and be confident in who I was. And once I was able to do that, it was like this accelerator to my progression of both confidence, being able to make decisions, and to lead people to wonderful places. So I think that for me, it hasn't been as natural as I would have hoped. In hindsight, I hope I would have learned that lesson earlier. But that word transparent, I love that you use that. I spent a lot of time in the innovation space. You can't be innovative and collaborative without transparency. So it's a great word to hold on to and make that a part of your DNA. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Right in front in the red shirt.
Hi, so I know you focused your entire presentation on how young we are, 20-year-olds, 22-year-olds. I'm actually 26.
Very
with
nice.
experience, with struggles, with bills.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone like me who's about to take a big step and start a career, and someone who doesn't have that much wiggle room in terms of, selection?
Yeah. So I have a lot of empathy for you. You look like a lot of our employees around the world. Many businesses in the hospitality industry, ours included, are really special places for people who have a background like you do, who have families, working moms, who have limited wiggle room financially, and they provide opportunities for you to have a fabulous career where if you put in your best efforts, Marriott on the other side of that handshake will give you a world of opportunity where doors are open to you to both be fulfilled professionally and fulfilled at home, to find financial success and help, and to be able to make it through these early stages. My friends and I used to call this the muck. So you're in the muck, and sometimes you need a hand to get you through it. And Marriott is set up very well to do that, as are many of the other companies in the hospitality industry. We know that if we fail people like you, we have no associate base. So keep at it. Have a goal for yourself where you want to go. State it publicly so that your mentors know where you want to go, and keep driving for it. Okay?
Thank you.
Let's go right here. Make it easy for you, Dean Dobson.
Thank you. On the contrast of her, I'm like on the other end of the spectrum. I'm like very young. I'm like actually turning 19 tomorrow. And thank you.
Were you born in the year 2000?
No, 1999.
Oh, anybody in here year 2000? Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
I am old.
But yeah, what would you say for someone like me? I have little to no experience in within the hospitality industry. Like, how would you say to put my foot out there into the industry? What would you say?
Yeah. Rinse, wash, and repeat what you just did. Put yourself out there. Right? It's like shampoo. Get out there as much as you can. So often, this is a quick tip for you guys as you apply to jobs. When I opened up positions in my hotel, and I would, let's say a front desk position, I would get over 100 applicants for that job. And many of them have degrees. And so you say to yourself, how do I stand out? Most people today, they apply online electronically. The people who stood out were the ones that would walk in the door with a resume on a great piece of paper, and they would come dressed in a suit and say, I want this job. At the end of the day, when I have 100 candidates, I'm only going to get through the first 10. And it's just luck how I get through those 10. So if you can make yourself at the top of that list by showing up and being old school. Have you guys ever even seen resume paper? Okay. It's so impressive. And I'm a millennial who's impressed by this. Imagine the baby boomers who are impressed by this, because they don't see it anymore. So build relationships, contacts, put yourself out there, be forward, be at all of these networking events, and hone in exactly what you want. When you're focused, it's easier than when you're broad. Okay?
Okay, we have time for one more question for the group, but we will, if you will, we'll stay a little bit later after everybody gets out of here and goes to their next class for individual questions with Mr. Harrison. So, right over here.
Make it a good one.
Thank you. So being that you are a part of a family that has created an enormous legacy and you are the next generation, what kind of legacy do you want to leave or leave for your children?
Thank you for asking a question. Oh, bravo! Knocked it out of the park. I feel like I should sit down for this one. I've been given an extraordinary life, and I've recognized that since I was a little kid. And so I've been trying to figure out, like my daughter Hadley, how to give a gift back to say that I appreciate the genetic lottery that I won by being born into this family. It's nothing I did. And the only thing that I've come up with in the 35 years of my life is to work really hard, be really humble, and to try to sustain and perpetuate the wonderful nature of the work that my great-grandpa and grandfather did. Yes, they've built a monster of a company. It's beautiful. But what they really did is they gave opportunity to millions of people. If you think about how many people who have worked for Marriott in its history, we're at millions. And the people who are attached to those people, and they've impacted millions. So the legacy that I hope to leave behind is the ability to sustain that in some way, so that when my kids are my age, they can say, my dad helped to preserve what was there when he was my age, so that they can come in this room and say, I'm here to help take care of other people. I will have failed if I am 50, 60, 70 years old and people aren't saying Marriott takes care of people anymore. If they stop giving people opportunities. So for me, it's stewardship over this great legacy that has been passed down generation to generation. As many people as I can affect for good, I will do my best to do it. So hopefully that was as good of an answer to your question, which was fabulous. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Come on up here. One more time.
This is a scary stage. Oh, thank you.
We have this gift.
Wow.
It's one of our original chargers for our restaurant.
Wow.
And it says Christopher Harrison, Richard and Frank, Distinguished Lecture Series.
You guys haven't seen one of these? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for giving a wonderful, inspiring talk with us. I think we all felt something very deeply, and we all certainly learned something. So the formal part of this is adjourned. If you need to go to class, please feel free to. If you want to stay and talk a little bit, please feel free to do that. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. It's so thoughtful. Thank you. Wow, what a